So, Zack Snyder's had to come out and say some shit, man. Oh boy. And I want to ask you guys a question. Do you think that Batman needs to kill to stay relevant? What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Next Gen Geek. I'm of course your host Darius, and in this video I wanted to talk about what Snyder has recently said on the Joe Rogan podcast. And one of the things he wants to emphasize is really that he thinks that Batman, if DC left Batman not killing, he will become irrelevant, so he needs to kill to stay relevant. So that kind of irked me a bit, because one of the comics he references is The Dark Knight Returns. So how I'm going to break up this video is I'm going to talk about what he said, my opinions on that, and then talk about Dark Knight Returns and what specifically he's drawing from that I think he might be inaccurate. So one of the things he says, and I want to reiterate, is if you don't test the morality of the character, then it's dead. It can't evolve. It can't move. It can only answer questions that doesn't break canon, and that's not the way to treat these legendary characters. He then went on to say Batman can't kill, right? So Batman can't kill is canon, Snyder explained. So I'm like, the first thing I want to do when you say that is I want to see what happens if Batman kills. He then went on to further reiterate that, well, don't put him in a situation that he has to kill. I'm like, you're protecting your god in a weird way, right? You're making your god irrelevant if he can't be in that situation. He has to now deal with that. If he does do that, what does that mean? What does it tell you? But does he stand up to it? Can he survive that, right? As a god, as your god, can Batman survive that? And when I hear this, I find it very odd, and I understand that in the DC mythos, a lot of these characters are put on a pretty high pedestal for what they can achieve and what they are and who they are. You know, I understand that as the Trinity, as Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, a lot of people see them as these deities, as these gods, as people who are really hard to stop. But I want to say, and I understand that, but for me, Batman's not a god. He's never been. I understand what Snyder is saying in relevance to as far as the DC mythology and the DC lore and how we can perceive them, but he's not a god and he's still human. And so he goes on to mention about The Dark Knight Returns and kind of talks about one of the panels. And as you can see, this is the panel he's referencing where Batman basically breaks through one of the mutant hideouts, takes out one of the mutants, takes them out the picture. He doesn't kill them, just takes them out. And you have the other mutant right then and there, basically holding a baby, pointing the gun to it, and basically saying, I'm gonna do it. Batman sees this, he shoots, and we see that the bullet hole is essentially in the wall, and there's blood splattered on the wall. It doesn't really explicitly or even imply that he actually killed the mutant right there. And then after when he does that, he does say, I believe you. So just from that, because Snyder is mentioning this panel, and he is saying the mutant gets shot in the head. But that is not really what's being shown here. Not only that, but then if we get a few more pages in, the new commissioner of Gotham City essentially starts talking about how she wants to now get Batman under arrest and these are the charges that she's essentially laying out. It's for breaking and entering, assault, and creating a public hazard. None of these charges are murder, by the way. So still, even at this point, he hasn't, at least even to police, and even us readers, he's actually killed anyone. So I did find it odd that Snyder is referencing The Dark Knight Returns for his argument when it comes to this. Again, I love The Dark Knight Returns. I love the more mature Batman. He's a bit jaded, and he's kind of really going in on some of these criminals and brutalizing them in ways that are not conventional. Not only that, but we also see Batman essentially taking on the mutant gang, essentially, right? He rolls up with his tank. He got a big old tank in this comic, and I love it for that. But he basically rolls up in the tank, confronts all the mutant gang, and kind of takes them out. But now, when he takes them out, he does use a gun, but specifically he uses, in the States, he's using rubber bullets. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt like a motherfucker. And I'm not even gonna sugarcoat that. But yeah, So not only that, but when he sets sights on the mutant gang leader, he kind of tells himself and reiterates that killing the mutant leader would cross a line. So, and I think that when it comes to comics and when it comes to writing, when we're looking at this type of stuff, that type of dialogue or that type of internal mindset, even if it is a saying, implies that he hasn't crossed that line yet. So the entire Dark Knight Returns up until to that point, at least how I'm seeing it and how I viewed it as well, is that he hasn't killed anyone. And again, he's acknowledging that is the line. And if you know a lot about the Batman mythology and Batman as a character and an identity, that line is killing. He doesn't want to kill, no matter how much, no matter if it's on his mind for an extensive amount of time. That is a line he is not willing to cross. And so, again, when I read that, that's basically what he's saying. Not only that, but then in the third issue, Hunt the Dark Knight, we have Batman and Joker having their final confrontation. And within this, Batman, he does take out Joker's eye, Deathstroke style, which I love, but he is brutalizing the Joker. It goes so far to the point where he still doesn't kill the Joker. He still doesn't kill him. He doesn't want to go that route. But what he does, he instead paralyzes Joker. And after this, Joker essentially mocks him for not being able to finish the job. He's essentially mocking him, basically like, really? Paralysis? And so during the situation, there are witnesses around. And so Joker takes the opportunity to frame the witness's mindset and the public view of Batman and snaps his own neck and spine, resulting in Joker dying, making it look as if Batman actually killed him. And then not only that, but in the last book, the commissioner then adds another charge, which is murder, when they see the Joker's body. And I'm saying all of this because I want to actually provide these panels and pages for you guys to take a look at to see if Snyder is right. And for us to even have this open conversation about, should Batman kill to stay relevant? I think one of the things that's great about Batman as a character, as a ideology, as a symbol of fear, is that he has that much hatred, and it's not necessarily hatred, but also he wants things to be better in Gotham. That's his mission. He wants Gotham to improve. He wants Gotham to no longer be almost this city of darkness. He wants it to be equivalent probably to Metropolis, or at least how we view Metropolis within the DC universe. And so when it comes to being the symbol of fear, at least for me, how I've interpreted Batman over the course of these many years across Batman media, when it comes to the video games, some comics, and even animation and movies, I picture him and he also comes across as a mission-oriented type of character, normally sacrificing certain relationships with either the Bat family, the Commissioner, or even his love life, like with Catwoman, or Ra's al Ghul's daughter, Talia al Ghul. So when it comes to Batman, and again, as a symbol of fear, I do think it is important to put him in certain situations to where killing might be the only option, right? But at the same time, I also believe that Bruce Wayne Batman, whenever he's on patrol, on a mission, killing is on his mind, but not so much to where that is a necessity. Batman definitely feels like and is the type of person who is willing to give certain criminals a chance. He did so with Mr. Freeze and even Clayface to a certain degree in other forms of media, like the Arkham series. Even with Mr. Freeze in that series, he did try to help him. Obviously, it's a back and forth. Freeze is sort of a villain and he wants to save his wife, but I'm also talking about just the Arkham for that version of the Batman, as far as that's what comes to mind. So when it comes to Batman and whether he should kill or not kill, I understand what Snyder was saying, and I do agree that you do want to put him in certain situations, but at the same time, Batman's the sort of character who will find a way to get out of it without having to kill, without having to cross that line. He does not want to envision himself as his parents' killer, because that's probably what he's going to see if he does end up crossing that line and ends up killing a life. That is something you even see within Batman and Damian Wayne's relationship, where Damian essentially grows up as an assassin killing, and Batman's trying to reel him in, essentially saying killing is not the only way. You know, just because you find a criminal doesn't mean you kill him. There might be a bigger operation that needs to be resurfaced and made and put into the public's eye to go through whatever it needs to be to make sure there's justice. Batman is, in a lot of ways, is for justice. He may not like to deal with other people or work with others, but you know what? The Bat family is just as strong as him because they're all on almost the same mission. So when it comes to Batman killing, I'm not too fond of that idea, but I do not mind a jaded Batman or someone who is going all in as far as brutality, breaking bones, maybe taking out an eye. And taking out an eye is probably... that's excessive. Okay, I'm not gonna... that's excessive. But I do understand that idea of pushing him to the edge, of pushing him to that line to where he might kill. You know, there's a lot of ways where I find those type of stories really interesting, because the character is just about to cross the line. The character is just about to do maybe something they can't go back from, or they're just about to do something that's going to break them internally. They're going to have to rebuild. In certain situations, yes, killing can help a lot of this out, but at the same time, are these attributes of a hero? At the end of the day, Batman and Bruce Wayne combined have done heroic deeds. And so, to sum a lot of this up, and I want to ask you guys this question again, do you think Batman needs to kill to stay relevant? Personally, I don't think so. I think there's a lot of ways to expand Batman as an ideology, as a symbol of fear, without having to essentially take away his moral code. Because if you do that, you fundamentally change Batman, I think Bruce Wayne, at his core, to the point where it's no longer Batman. The purpose of Batman is no longer there. The idea of Batman is no longer there. The mission, Batman's mission, is not really there. The reason why he holds back is no longer there. I think that fundamental change really changes Batman to his core fundamentally, that not a lot of people and fans would agree with that direction. And again, I like Dark Knight Returns. I really like the suit. It's clear that Snyder is a fan of the Dark Knight Returns and really Frank Miller's work. We see that with 300 and now with BVS. So I understand maybe why he was thinking that way, but I just wanted to bring up these panels and pages and see what he's talking about, because I'm not seeing that, at least for me personally. But that's the great thing about art and storytelling, is that we all interpret it in different ways. But I am going to say, if he shot him in the head, I would see a bullet hole in the head. Like, you got to show that. I'm just saying. I'm sorry, Snyder. I'm just saying. You got to show that in some way. But, yeah. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think Batman should kill to stay relevant? And what are your overall thoughts about Snyder and his movies and how he brought Batman to life, especially in Batman vs. Superman? And that's all from me today. I just wanted to throw this out there because I was like, what is he talking about? So, again, let me know in the comments down below what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in the next video.